Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Fab Four. We're sorry it's a tiny bit late, but it's worth waiting for, right? Yeah.
Is it?
I think it. Janet, is it?
Of course. Duh.
I'm offended. Oh my gosh. We're going to get to some questions here in just a minute.
With every start, we are born again. Open your heart, spend this time in your head.
Okay. We're back now. It's been less than a minute. It's been like 3 seconds.
Through the magic of television.
What?
Through the magic of television.
Through the magic.
Yep.
The magic of
Magic
the
of
YouTube.
editing.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had some questions that I did with the Golden Girls. I thought we could just repeat a bunch of those questions because then we can get, a whole like conglomeration of answers. Because
And it has nothing to do with Amy just phoning it in.
no, not even a little bit. Okay, so let me see. I'm gonna start with the easy ones. Neely,
Yeah.
what's your favorite TV show?
That's a hard one.
I know. I still
It is
haven't figured out
actually.
my answer.
Yeah. So I don't know that I have like an all-time favorite TV show. I just finished watching Shadow and Bone on Netflix. It's like another world thing. Anyways, it was really good. I liked it. So I was into that one just the last, couple weeks.
So you're like, that is my answer and I'm sticking to it.
That's
Okay,
my
Janet.
current favorite.
Okay. My current favorite right now, and has been for a while, is 90 Day Fiance. I know. It's just one of my guilty pleasures. I don't know. I'm obsessed. It comes on every Sunday, and I'm like, everybody has to leave the living room. It is my time. 90 Day Fiance is on.
I'll have to try that one.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Okay, what about you, Lindsay?
Okay, of all time, my favorite TV show is Seinfeld. The most favorite one that I have that we're watching right now is probably The Ranch on Netflix.
Okay.
It's a dramedy, Ashton Kutcher,
Ooh,
and they're on a ranch.
right. I've heard of that. I'm going to write that down because I've heard that's really good, actually.
Yeah, we really loved how hilarious it was for the first 2 parts, and then it started to get a lot more dramatic as it has gone in. So we kind of are a little bit disappointed in that there's more drama than comedy at this point, but we're seeing it all the way through. So
Yeah.
You're committed now.
we are fully vested.
Okay.
Yep.
Totally
What
understand.
about you, Amy?
So
Yeah,
for
Amy?
me, it would be, this is probably going to be really ridiculously sad. Alton Brown's Good Eats.
That is such a great show.
Yeah.
Like, I still to this day remember some of those episodes, and when I'm cooking, I'm like, and this does this, and this interacts with this, and so honestly, I think that's probably it. My
That's
all-time.
good.
Yeah.
So okay, let me see. Okay, so Janet, what is the best thing that you've ever created minus kids?
Well, let's see. What's the best thing I created? Like, do you mean like recipe food wise or just,
Anything.
oh gosh. Well, first of all, I'm not a very good creator. Like, I don't have an imagination to create things. But I would probably say what I'm most proud of that I can think of is probably designing our home. Like when we renovated it, I did all of the designing, like the colors, the cabinets in our kitchen. I did the bathroom, like all of that I created. So I don't know if that works for that answer.
totally
That's all I
works.
can think of.
I love it. Okay, Lindsay, how about you?
Re-ask the question.
Okay, so what is the best thing that you've ever created? Not children, no kids.
A mess.
True.
You made an awful lot of people seasick last time.
Every time. I am amazing at just, I don't know.
Hey,
I'm like
chaos.
that tornado. I'm actually probably a lot like what's his name? Tasmanian Devil. Just like I spin around and I make all the messes and then I'm like, ta-da!
Taz.
Big laugh.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, Neely, what about you?
Well, I guess I could say my YouTube channel, like
Mhm.
Beyond Children. I also back before my YouTube channel, I had an Etsy store where I sold crocheted hats and things. So that's not like just one thing, like one hat or something. It was the whole, deal, creating patterns, crochet patterns and stuff like that.
Just being creative. Yeah, that's a good one though. I wish I was more creative. I do want to learn how to knit and crochet, honestly. I can probably learn that on YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yep.
Seriously, I do want to learn how to do that.
Yeah.
It takes very little cost to get involved in it, and the research is free. So for sure,
Yeah.
my girls, they coerced my mom into buying them a bunch of yarn and hooks. So whenever we got back from Scotland, my middle was like, "Look at this," and I was like, "I don't know what that is. Let's learn it together." And so now we figured out crocheting together.
Or even like the macrame. Like I would love to learn how to do that. Yes.
Oh,
and
yeah.
everybody who has done it says it's so easy. They're like, Janet, why are you buying that for like $25 when you can make it? All it is knots. And I'm like I said, I'm just not creative, but I would love to learn how to macrame. Yeah.
For sure.
So I can.
You are creative. I mean,
are
your
creative.
YouTube channel and your editing, you're totally
in
creative.
different ways. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so for
Right,
me,
Annie.
yeah, I can do all those things. Honestly, I think the baby carrier that I made, it's purple. I'll have to have the kids go grab it and then I'll show it to you guys like in the bloopers. It was like super hard, but turned out absolutely amazing, and I still have it so that I
What
can
did you
gift
make it out of?
So I bought some woven slings, and they were like $100 each or something like that, because I absolutely loved them. But she didn't love the sling, so I wanted to turn him into something else. So I ended up turning him into this carrier. Oh my gosh, it was hard, but I am still so proud of that. Like I'm gonna hold on to that until I have grandkids, and then I will decide
That's awesome.
who really gets that one.
I love that.
I was gonna say Hawaiian sweet rolls, but then that, so I was like,
yeah,
I'm gonna have to agree with you on the Hawaiian sweet rolls until we see evidentiary support of the baby carrier.
oh,
exactly.
So
I
A
just-
would be the Hawaiian sweet rolls, which that was like God inspired. I'm not even kidding. Like I wrote down the recipe, never tried it before, took one bite and went, oh wow.
Wow. Yeah.
Love it when that happens.
Yeah, right. I'm still waiting on Neely and Lindsay to like make my tortillas better. I'm still waiting on that. Janet, please jump in, make them better.
Weigh in.
I just kind of recreate your guys's. You guys do all the hard work. I'll just recreate them.
Oh
Janet.
gosh. Okay, so a slightly more serious question now
Aw.
would be, Lindsay, what keto?
Really?
I love you. What keto approved foods cause you inflammation?
Oh, that is a good question, and it's not hard. So pretty much 98% of packaged keto labeled foods on a shelf will cause me inflammation and cravings like nobody's business. I kind of talked a little bit about that in my live just this past week, and it's one of those things like, sure, they look great, sure, the macros line up well, but they just cause all kinds of struggles for me. And sucralose, a ton of people can have sucralose as their main go-to low carb friendly sweetener. For me, it causes all of the inflammation. It causes me to swell up terribly. It's just not good, and it causes like further cravings for like real sugar for me. So I do my best to steer clear from those.
As much as I would love to have those, you are 100% right. What about you, Neely?
So for me, dairy is one. Although I don't get the same kinds of inflammation from dairy, I get more like a brain foggy, maybe brain inflammation from dairy. But the one big one that I've come to realize recently is nuts and peanuts.
Mm.
The other week is a couple months ago now. I was at the store with Renee, and we were out having a day, and we got treats, and they were some allulose sweetened peanut butter cups, and I got those and ate those, and I had the same like reaction that I have when I eat grains. Like,
Oh
and
wow.
for me, that's like having nightmares at night. Like it turns on the anxiety in my brain. Like, and it's like clockwork. If I eat, rice or oats or anything like that, I will have nightmares that night. Same thing happened with the peanut butter and the peanuts in the peanut butter cups. And I was like, so nuts and peanuts just light up my brain real bad.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Janet?
So for me, what I have realized kind of halfway through my journey, I never noticed it at the beginning. But my number one is coconut flour. I use coconut flour all the time because I am allergic to nuts. So I use coconut flour for like the 90-second bread and for different keto sweets that I would make. And I thought it may have been the erythritol or some sort of sweetener, but I've had products that had that and it doesn't give me a horrible reaction as far as water gain, inflammation, etc. And I've realized the number one culprit and the one ingredient that has been consistent has been coconut flour. So thank goodness for the protein sparing modified fast bread, because now I don't have to necessarily use that like for my pancakes, waffles, or anything like that, because I was using coconut flour and it caused like water gain, inflammation, stomach pain. I still use it once in a while, maybe once every like 4 months or something, but it's not an every week basis anymore now that I came to that realization.
I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm a little
Well, we would
worried,
expect no less.
right?
Yeah.
Just a little honest here. I'm actually a little bit worried that I'm going to start getting resistant and I'm going to start having that inflammation from the eggs because of the protein sparing bread. Like Janet, you said, oh, coconut flour because you use it all the time.
Right. Yeah.
It's like in the back of my mind that I'm like, if you over consume this, I'm afraid it's going to start causing me inflammation.
Yeah.
So just throwing that out there for everybody who loves the bread and loves the tortillas.
Then you could be like Levi.
I know, it's so sad.
So
Yeah,
sad.
I thought that maybe the eggs were causing me trouble because I started having my rosacea flares back when, more rosacea flares back when I first started having the bread. And I was like, is it the eggs? Is it the allulose? So I cut them both out for a good 2 weeks, I think, and saw no change. So at that point, I was like, I don't think that's the problem.
Yeah.
Which
Just
I'm thankful for.
hormonal or something, maybe.
I don't. I give up.
I was allergic to eggs when I was younger, like Levi's age. I was allergic to, I've said that lots of times, allergic to literally everything. So that's always in the back of my mind, because with allergies change over time, no matter what age. Like Levi could outgrow his egg allergy, at a certain time in his life, just like I did. But it's always in the back of my mind. It's like, if I do get sensitive to eggs, then what? Because there's eggs, as Neely knows, in literally everything, not even keto or protein sparing modified, like in everything.
Yep.
So
yeah, that's my concern. So for me, I mean, yes, dairy, I'm off dairy right now because we're assuming that dairy is causing me some inflammation, and because I'm trying to figure out some autoimmune stuff, I have been instructed to go off of dairy. Nuts, same thing. I have to be super careful. Like I do the Brazil nuts for the selenium right now, but those are the only nuts that I do. Almond flour. No, big bad juju. But honestly, hi Lindsay. Most
You can hear the wind.
most
Can you
of
hear the wind?
it's like Pocahontas. We're going with that. Anyways.
yeah.
Honestly, most veggies give me.
I was going to say that too.
They're all keto approved.
Raw veggies. Yeah. Raw veggies are
like
no
fiber, anything with fiber.
Yeah. I forget who I was watching. I want to say it was Dr. Berg, maybe, but he had said, whoever I was watching said that fiber is not necessary in your diet.
Mm-mm.
That's weird for him to say because he's
Yeah,
always
probably not
pushing the
Dr.
whole
Berg.
7 to 10 cups of vegetables every
Yeah,
day.
I forget who it was, but yeah, whoever I was watching,
Dr.
they said
Barry
that
sounds more
fiber
like that.
is unnecessary in your diet, which I was like, wow, because how many years ago, especially when you were doing like, well, any sort of fad diet in the past, it was like fiber, 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 right? Like get the whole wheat, get the brown rice, get all the fiber. And then, yeah, when I heard that, whoever it was, they're like, your body doesn't need fiber. And I was like, wow, interesting.
That's why
Mind
carnivore is such a
blowing.
big thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, this one's going to be totally different than the last group. Neely, how many grams of fat in a day do you eat?
Okay. It definitely varies because I do eat to hunger, but it usually on like a regular day is over 100 grams, somewhere around 100 to 150. And then I have my lean days, which are usually like 30 to 50. But those are rare. Lean days are rare. My regular is 100 to 150.
Okay. What about you, Lindsay? You look
As
confused.
many as I want to. I'm sorry, there's bugs flying around me.
Because you're so sweet.
There are bees that are very insistent that they come be part of my life. No, I don't count. I don't calculate. I don't add up. I don't care. I'm at a point in my quest where I'm like, I am doing really awesome to focus on just getting the protein in at this point, because you know how you've mentioned, Amy, in the past that if you did not intentionally think about food and eating, that you just wouldn't. I'm in that current season where if I'm not actively filming a video to sort of focus my brain on it, I'm just like all over the map and trying to just get everything done and taking care of the nourishment sort of on the back end, which makes me more or less care about just getting protein at this point.
Yep, exactly. I been there, done that. Okay, what about you, Janet? Do you know?
Yeah, I usually keep track of all of my macros on my Fitness Pal, and it's usually between 110 and 120. Usually my fat and protein are usually fairly equal. That's
1 to 1
usually
is
how I
good.
like to keep it. Yeah. So it's always usually between 110 and 120
So
for
for
both
me,
fat and protein.
for both. Yes,
Yeah.
you're even 1 to 1.
Usually, yeah.
I'm gonna this is where the individual needs are going to come in to be very apparent here. I'm usually at like 150 to 200. And if I do not keep it that high, my mental state plummets fast. Like,
So what about is your protein lower than your fat then
Yep.
currently?
Yep.
Oh, it
So
is
my
now.
protein
Okay.
is almost always lower than my fat. I'm at like 100, maybe 120 grams of protein a day.
See, and that just
Yesterday,
goes to show that we all change, right? Because before like a month or two when we started doing the Fab4, my protein was lower. Like I would say about 80 grams. And then like all four of us, you know, things change. We have priority on different things. And now mine is equal. And I remember you saying that your protein is usually the highest, right?
yeah, Neely and Lindsay have definitely taken on the higher protein
Yeah.
one. And I'm like, yeah, I'm still way higher
Right.
fat. Like I had for
Right.
breakfast, I had bone marrow.
Yeah.
That's
Wow,
what I
that sounds delicious.
oh, yeah, the cow that we bought, that we get like the shanks and everything. And so I cut the bone out of the shank and I give the dogs the shank meat because it's like, ugh. And then I eat the bone marrow. So I have been on this bone marrow kick. I had 6 of the
that's
rounds.
So good.
I could seriously have eaten more. Like it just
Like this is creme brulee, carnivore style.
Yeah.
with salt and nothing else. And then it's fantastic. Okay. Let me see. What about your favorite, Lindsay? My favorite Lindsay. What's your favorite
I
recipe?
am my favorite Lindsay.
I think we all know this.
Yeah.
What's your favorite recipe or meal?
Ooh.
Um,
Yes,
okay,
you can pick
meal.
one.
Meal. I can choose meal. I can
Yeah,
do this. I can
meal.
do this. A ribeye steak with salt and a cup of coffee.
A cup of coffee. Interesting mixture.
Are you dipping the steak in the coffee, or are we like swishing in the mouth?
No, I'm not a savage.
Really?
I I want a steak. I'm a Texan. I want a steak and I want my black coffee. Cowboy camp coffee. Yes. There it is. Boom.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Okay, Janet, how about you?
Definitely a steak. Absolutely steak. And I would say my favorite meal would be a steak, some green beans, and my cauliflower bake. That would probably be my favorite meal if, on keto, hands down. Yeah.
Okay, Neely.
I mean, I have to go for steak as well. My favorite cut of steak is New York steak. And I would go with like something smoked. And probably with it, like roasted Brussels sprouts with bacon. If I was doing dairy, Parmesan, bacon, Parmesan. I have a recipe for instant pot Brussels sprouts, bacon, Parmesan. I miss that so bad because I don't do the Brussels sprouts. I don't do the Parmesan.
Yeah.
And then, finished it off with a cup of coffee and then maybe some kind of like a chocolate dessert with whipped cream, something with whipped cream, berries with whipped cream. That'd be good too.
Yes, if we're talking about things that we can't have, but we really miss.
Mine is totally on plan.
It all could be keto. It's just stuff that I'm not currently eating. But that's not how it always is. The stuff that you love the most is the stuff you end up needing to cut out. Oh.
Yeah.
100%. Yes.
Except for steak.
I was gonna say, I hope I never have to get
We always have steak.
Uh-huh.
True story. Okay, so my meal that I can't have right now, but would be my favorite meal, would be picanha steak because it's got that giant fat cap on it with crab legs, butter,
You
to
lost
dip it
me.
in, and then my cauliflower mac and cheese,
Yeah.
which can't have at all.
The
And
crab
crab
legs,
I can't
definitely.
find or afford. So
Crab legs, yum. So good.
Can we do like a subset question or a clarifying question? So everybody wants steak as their favorite meal. Which cut of steak? Neely said New York.
Sure.
And what about you, Janet?
I would say mine is probably either the ribeye or the strip loin. Yeah.
A Wagyu ribeye all the way.
Oh,
I've never had a Wagyu ribeye.
I haven't either.
Would be.
My husband's company gave us for Christmas, or gave everybody in the company, 2 Wagyu ribeyes and 4 bacon wrapped fillets for their big Christmas gift this year. And so on Christmas, we cooked the ribeye and 2 of the fillets. That Wagyu beef literally melts in your mouth. I thought I had died and gone to heaven.
I've never
was
had it either. Is
amazing.
that what they normally will do with the fondue? Is that the beef that they use for fondue sometimes?
I don't know.
I
For some
don't
reason
know.
that sounds familiar. Like they
Or should we
thin
cook?
slice that and then you fondue it in oil.
I
I've
don't
heard it's
know.
really
That's
good.
definitely something to look into, though.
Yeah.
Maybe
I've never
just-
even done a fondue, so like cheese or oil. So
I love it.
It's quite
Okay.
fun.
I'm not sophisticated enough for that. I can only imagine Jimmy's face if I actually brought fondue and had it at the table. He would be like, what is going
this
on?
hot pot?
What is this?
That'd be awesome. You should do it.
I
and
gotta
do a
cook my
video.
own food.
I
Janet.
I should totally do that. I want to do that.
That would be
I've only ever done
epic.
fondue one time in Telluride, Colorado, at a restaurant. So I can't imagine the work that goes into actually
Yeah.
like presenting it and doing all the work. I'd be like, this is lame. I'd rather just do charcuterie.
Yeah, I literally would need everything, like the fondue set, and then I think you have to buy a special kind of oil to go in there. And then you would probably have to find like specific cuts of meat, like I had mentioned, because it's all thinly cut,
Right.
but it have to be tender enough to like put it in oil for only a couple minutes, right? But maybe I'll try it one day. I'll record it if I do.
My mom has a fondue set from years ago, I think from her parents. And we did, over the summer, we did a fondue dinner. And it was fun, but with kids, all
Yeah.
you're doing is like trying to keep them from knocking over the hot oil. So
True.
it's better for like an adult dinner.
Yeah.
No kids invited.
So maybe Jimmy's out.
Maybe, yeah.
Hug your
Don't
teasing.
touch the hot oil, Jimmy. You're such a child. You're right.
Don't knock it over either. Oh my gosh,
gonna
sit
do that.
down.
I am definitely, I'm going to look on Amazon right after this, and I'm going to look for a meat fondue
That would be
set.
awesome. That would be awesome.
That'd be fun.
Okay, now you guys, hopefully your brain is warmed up.
It's not,
Because-
but go ahead.
Bring it anyways. Tell me about your quest for health in 5 words. Okay, I'm gonna start. Okay,
All I
because-
could think of is Lindsay is going to have trouble with this by only using 5 words. That's the only thing that came to my mind
That's
after
what-
that
okay,
question.
so I'm gonna go first just because Kelly Hogan helped me figure mine out on the Golden Girls, but I changed it. Okay, you ready for this? I'm gonna give you a starting place.
Yes.
You do you for you,
Okay.
because
See, I would think of
everyone
like
wants you to-
different words, not necessarily a sentence. Okay, but a sentence with 5 words.
or 5 words, like, keto or carnivore, whatever, however you want to do that. But right now, like, that is my overarching theme right now, is you do what you need to do for yourself and stop trying to please everybody else.
That's more than 5 words.
That one is, but I broke it down into little bite-sized pieces.
I'm just kidding.
So, okay, Janet.
I knew it. I knew you were going to ask.
I've
me
got
first.
2. I've already got 2 5-word phrases. Okay.
Hey, Lindsay.
my
Okay, Lindsay, you
God.
go. Save Janet.
Okay. Number 1, eat steak and drink coffee. Or I'm gonna do it no, I'm gonna go my way. Or I'm gonna go my way. That's what it was. I'm gonna go my way. Eat steak and drink coffee.
I love it. I'm gonna go my way. Eat steak and drink coffee.
Okay,
Yeah. That's my way.
think. Oh my, Lindsay, you're making me cry.
No mascara for Janet.
Oh my god.
All right, I have mine.
Okay.
Okay,
You go.
good.
Try and try again.
That's a good one.
That's all I got.
Uh,
But it's
That's
so
me.
true. Oh my gosh, we have to
That
keep
is true.
trying and trying. And as soon as
Okay.
you think you got it, you don't got it. Okay, Janet, do you got it?
Yes, I think I do. I just thought of something that I always resort back to when I either go off keto or I'm struggling, and that is always go back to basis.
Mm.
Ooh.
Yes.
Y'all
Yeah.
are like good and serious.
Good.
Well, I was trying to think of something that has always helped me, during those tough times, right? So
And our basics are steak and coffee.
exactly.
Amen.
Yep. Hallelujah. That is for
Always
sure.
Go back to steak and coffee.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I love it. See, Lindsay, you brought us all wisdom. It's totally good.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like that, or what is it? Stay calm and whatever.
Carry on.
Yeah.
Carry,
Calm
that's
and
it.
Carry on.
Keep calm
Stay
and carry
calm.
on. No,
And steak and coffee.
eat steak and drink coffee. That's all you need to do. That's-
End of story. We're done, right? It's all good.
And it's a wrap.
I
And
love
it's-
that one.
Okay, now a really, really important question. If you got stranded on an island that had electricity, what one kitchen item would you take with you?
Is that an appliance or like utensils?
I
Like,
was
do
going to ask clarifying
utensils?
questions too.
I mean,
You
What
you
kind
pick. I mean, we have
appliance?
electricity.
Okay.
But do we
So-
have other food sources? Like, what are our food sources?
I don't think this is food. I think it's like more of appliance stuff. Like
Because I'm
let's
Right,
say-
but I can't
knife.
decide what.
If I don't
food
have a
I like-
knife, I have nothing.
I don't have a
That's
knife.
true.
But are we talking about appliances?
Let me see. Did I write down appliances? That's
What's
what we talked
appliance?
about. That's what I said. What one kitchen item? So I didn't even say appliances. On the Golden Girls, everyone took their air fryer.
Yes.
So
Right.
all the
That's
air
what I was
fryers are
thinking.
already on the island.
I mean, I could just rip apart the animal with my bare hands. That's fine.
Right?
As long as I have an air fryer.
I was actually going to say a refrigerator because what am I going to do with the whole cow once I've butchered it?
Hey, that's smart, Lindsay. That is
Okay,
very
so Lindsay
smart.
brought
Cows
the
on
fridge.
a deserted island.
Yeah.
Can't preserve anything without some sort of refrigeration if
Yeah.
it's fresh.
That's
Let's see.
true.
Okay, so Lindsay brought the fridge. What about you, Janet? What are you bringing?
Oh, well, okay. Air fryer, fridge. I don't know. What else do I use on a consistent bake? Probably like my KitchenAid mixer. Like really, I think we can make the bread. We can, keep our meat cold, and we can deep fry the buns and the meat.
Okay, so the Neely,
You
either
can
you or I,
bake-
we have to bring an
Bake the
oven.
bread. No, you bake the bread
You bake
in the
it in
air
the air
fryer.
In the air
It's
fryer.
awesome. It's
Yeah.
so cool.
Well, yeah, but which
Right?
one of us is bringing the air fryer? Or we're using the ones from the last fridge?
Yes. The
Oh,
Oh
golden
yeah,
girls brought the air
we're
fryer.
all in. We're
Okay.
all living together. This is
Okay.
compound living. There's 4
Yeah.
air fryers on the island.
I'll bring the coffee maker.
Oh yes.
Oh, how do we not think about that?
Espresso machine.
We're living the high life on this
We can
island.
milk the cow and make lattes.
Go
Yes.
big or go home.
Lindsay,
Well, you better milk the cow first before I butcher it.
Yeah, Amy is bringing the cow.
Well, tell you what, how about we butcher the baby and we keep the milk cow? We'll
Yeah.
let the baby grow and then we'll butcher
It's all-
him.
It's a little Lord of the Flies for my taste, but we'll consider it.
We're all going to survive. And we've got 4 air fryers to use all at once. So one could be baking bread, one could be making steaks. We have options
Yep. We're
Yeah,
set.
it's gonna overload the circuit, but that's okay.
here. Especially if it's all in one tree. Very, very unfortunate. Let me see. So what do I need to bring? Okay, so we have an air fryer, we have a coffee maker, we have a fridge. There's got to be
I'm with
something else.
Neely on the knives. The knives might be necessary.
Okay, so I do have a
knife out of stone or something. I don't know.
okay, so I do have a
Yeah.
fantastic set of knives. They're hammer stall. We got them like years and years and years ago. I think at the time we paid like $2,500 for them. I'll bring my knives.
Yep.
There we go.
They're only worth like
Okay.
800 now, but
Sounds like a great time. Let's do it.
Yeah, exactly.
awesome. Okay, I'm so glad we have our whole island figured out. I'll let the other ladies know.
I mean, it's
The way
only
to survive.
fair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay, let me see. What about a slightly more difficult question here? Neely, I'm going to start with you.
Mhm.
We're going to need some wisdom nuggets here. What do you have to say to the pro-metabolic community? This is a viewer's question. Who says that they did keto and had issues or had problems?
Oh, well, I would say I relate because I've done keto and had issues and had problems. I think we talked maybe on the last one about this, where there are a billion different ways to do keto, and some of them will give you problems. Like you just there's so much more to the diet than just being keto or not keto. So first of all, so no judgment from me. Like, sure, I believe you, of course. If they're saying that specifically being low carb or specifically being in ketosis is the thing that gave them problems and they need carbohydrates to keep them out of a state of ketosis in order to be healthy, I say you do you. Like, sounds
Yeah.
great. That's awesome. I if they were telling me that I had to do that in order to be healthy, then I'd be like, well, I'm not there yet. Maybe someday I'll get there. But I'm not there yet. Right now, this is what's working for me. I'll let you know if anything changes.
Yeah, I think everybody, like we have said numerous times, every body is different. So, what works for me won't work for you, etc. And yeah, you kind of just have to figure it out yourself. I know that's what people don't want to hear, but if it's causing damage, if keto is causing damage, then obviously you shouldn't be doing keto. You know what I mean? Like you should start implementing your carbs or implementing whatever you feel like you need to implement. And keto isn't for everybody. I've said that numerous times. If it's not working for you, try low carb. If low carb is still not working for you and you feel like you're doing more damage than good, then you need to go back to the all American diet, to get your nutrients.
Try and try again.
Yeah.
And that's what I've done. I mean, even in my keto journey, like I did Atkins 20 years ago, and it got me to a certain point, and then I was trying other things, and then I tried nutritional ketosis with low protein, and that was my other try. And then now I'm trying the ketovore with the higher protein, and that seems to be the best right now, but I'm gonna keep trying and working with it. And you just, what else can you do? As soon as someone comes and tells me this is exactly what you or everyone needs to do, and this is across the board, I'm just like totally checked out. Like,
no,
cool. Like, and I love hearing other people's stories, because I learn little nuggets here and there from everybody. I watch vegan YouTubers and different things. Like, I will listen to everyone, and but as soon as they say this is for everyone across the board, I'm like,
that's one thing.
Agree with you there.
Exactly. Or especially when people bash other ways of eating. You know what I mean? If it is a vegan YouTube channel and they're bashing, carnivores or whatever, I'm like, that doesn't fly with me. Like,
but even the carnivores or anybody that bashes vegans, like that happens all the time. And so we hear a vegan say, come out and say that they have some kind of a health issue, and we, well, of course, because of this and this and this. But it's like, if a carnivore comes out and says, I have a health issue, you don't say, oh, it's because of your carnivore diet. If that's, where you're coming from as your baseline. It's so easy to, jump on and judge people that are in a different camp than you. But I try not to do that. I try to, like, everybody's, in their own place. I don't think anyone has the entire picture of perfect health. Like, there are people maybe that are closer than others, but no one has all of the information. No one sees the entire elephant. You guys know that analogy where there's the blind guys and they're all touching a different part of the elephant, and they're like, oh, it's like a rope because they got the tail, and oh, it's like a tree because they're touching, and it's like, it's like a snake because they're touching the trunk. And so we can learn from everybody, no matter what part of the elephant they're touching. And I don't know that anyone has the entire elephant, but we're all working towards that so we can learn from each other.
Oh, now that was a wisdom nugget right there.
There you go. That's it. I'm out.
What about you, Lindsay?
First of all, I have to say this is evidentiary support that Neely and I must have been separated at birth. Because I watch all of the people on the YouTube, standard American dieters, Weight Watchers, the vegans, the vegetarians, like all of them, because it's fascinating to me to understand why do people do the things they do. And I, the first thing I thought about whenever you asked the question, Amy, was going back to the whole like 5 words. And I was going to say, you're doing it wrong. Actually, it was, you are doing it wrong. But that's not it. I know my first response to 98% of the questions that people ask me is to ask like clarifying questions. Like, that's the way I've always been. Always ask another question to understand where the person is. Open-ended questions drive me nuts because I can't just like, I don't know what the context is, so I don't know how to best serve that question. And it's not because I'm just like trying to get somebody to tell me what they want to hear. It's that, what direction are you going with this information? What kind of information have you already collected? What kind of, like, what is the data you have? Can we look at that and figure out maybe there's something you're missing that I could see differently, or just taking a step back and saying, what is the bigger picture here? I'm all about context all the time. And I think that I need you to re-ask the question.
Okay. What do you have to say to the pro-metabolic community who said that they did keto and they had issues or problems?
Okay, first of all, did the keto diet explain to me what the keto diet is in your understanding? Second of all, what are these problems you're asking, like you're mentioning? What's your data? What's the experience? What's going on? What's your
Yeah.
environment like? Like, I'm always going to ask 11 billion questions surrounding a thing in order to figure out, like, okay, what does the person already know? So I'm not insulting them with information they may already have and feel like they've got a solid grasp on, because I never want to talk down to anybody. I want to be able to meet them where they are, because I don't know much about much. I know how to read things, but that's no different than anybody else. So I just see it from a different perspective, possibly, hopefully, maybe, and just want to be able to meet somebody where they are. It's the same thing with my children. They ask me a question, and I always ask that follow up, what do you mean? Or can you help me understand where you're coming from? That kind of a question, so I can best answer you with what I do know, knowing fully well that I'm not an expert in anything. And also I would ask questions like, do you have, like, what do you have access to? Do you value having somebody to be accountable with, who's not telling you what to do or how to do it, but rather just being a support person to you? What do you have in opposition in your life? There's 1,000 different things that can really impact how your health is handled, no matter what. I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things where I can't answer that open-ended of a question without having a lot more data.
I think that's great, though, with what Lindsay and Neely both said, is to figure out step by step and go by your past data to realize what is working and what's not working, instead of just saying it's keto. It's keto that's causing all these problems. That's it. Instead of being so close-minded of that, it could be something like dairy, or it could be just something that you have to eliminate out of your keto diet that is causing your inflammation. Like, it took a lot of work for all four of us, like we have said in numerous videos that we've done together, how much we have learned in the last 3, 4, 5 years that we've been doing keto, and what causes inflammation. And that's what that individual also has to figure out for themselves, as far as the past data, and just say, keto isn't working for me. Well, we all know keto is a lot of dairy and a lot of nuts, right? So if you're eating cheese and nuts on a daily basis and wondering why keto isn't working, you know what I mean?
I love what Dr. Jade Tita says. I talk about him all the time. And he's he calls himself a diet agnostic, where it's just like, whatever works for you. So he's not anti or pro keto. It's like, if that works for you, great. But he likes to say, if your sleep and hunger and energy and cravings and your lab work is going in the right direction, your weight is going towards the direction you want it to go, and you're on the gummy bear diet, then that's the diet for you. Like, how am I, if all of those things are in line, then good. So if someone was doing keto and all of those things, or some of those things, were out of line, then that's not the diet for you. That's not the formulation for you. But if you're doing the, jelly bean diet and all of those things are perfect, then who am I to tell you that that's the wrong diet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
100%. Love keto.
I'm so glad you guys answered that way. Because I went to the Metabolic Health Summit, and I've also been working with a lot of fairly sick and hard cases, like sick people and hard cases. And I completely agree, because I actually do know people personally who have done keto and their body is unable to utilize ketones properly, and they began to catabolize their own bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And they spoke about this at the Metabolic Health Summit as well. They said one of the last presentations that I watched, she was talking about genetic testing and why some genetic tests and like the blood type diet, they all say, oh, well, you can't do keto because of this. She explains why. And one of the things that she said is that there are very, very few people on the planet who truly cannot do keto, but they do exist because their bodies are incapable, whether it's damage or it's, genetics, just the way that they were born, because sometimes you do have enough of those gene mutations that make it impossible for you to be able to utilize ketones.
Mhm.
And there are also people on the other end of the spectrum who it is impossible for them to utilize glucose. And it can develop at any point in time, whether you're a child or up into adulthood, where all of a sudden your body can flip on you.
Mhm.
And if you don't go to a therapeutic level of ketosis, you could die. But those people become very sick. They find those things out. So they absolutely do exist. So because of that, I really am part of the camp of you got to do what works for you. And if you say that keto hurts you, I'm not going to judge you. I can, they've talked about, I did a video on keto hurt my thyroid. There's so many things that it could have been. Is it really keto? My only concern with videos like that is that it puts people off from wanting to try keto, period. But if keto honestly hurt this person and their thyroid, then no, they shouldn't be doing keto. It's just, I don't want anyone to look at all of us here in this space and go, I have to do what they're doing. Whatever they're saying is true. I have to listen to it. Because you can find a vegan who will tell you and prove to you with their lifestyle that that is the proper diet. You can find carnivores who with their lifestyle and their body can prove to you that that is the perfect diet. Janet's popular.
Sorry.
So you can find whatever you want to find, but what you have to find is what is right for you.
For clarification, what I just heard Amy say is she is pro gummy bear diet, and we're all changing our mind.
We're all okay.
That
So
is
I'm up
the
to
diet for everyone of all time.
But make sure those gummy
three
bears are
titles.
loaded with red 40.
Yeah.
right.
GMO too.
Gosh.
I
Okay,
want that diet.
moving on to the next topic. Let me see. I'm going to save that one for last, which we're going to have to wrap up here pretty soon.
Yeah, we are.
Do you think that diet is the main factor in your health? The thing that it controls more than anything? That as long as your diet is right, you will get healthy. You don't have to do anything else but eat right. Neely.
I think diet is a huge piece of the puzzle. Like I don't want to understate how big I believe diet is. Is it the entire puzzle? Of course not. Of course not. And for some people, and these are the most frustrating people, not frustrating in the sense that I wish I was one of them, where diet was the only piece that they needed to do. And they do that and their life is perfect and everything falls into place. There are people out there like that and they have incredible, before and after stories and it's all about the diet. But like we've said over and over and over again, everyone is different and their puzzle is going to be different and different people are going to have different pieces of the puzzle already in place and different pieces of the puzzle missing. And I think it probably also varies how big of a piece of the puzzle the diet is for the individual person. For some people, that's like the biggest thing. For some people, it's actually a very small thing. And they have all these other things in place in their lifestyle, like their sleep and their exercise, and they, get outside all the time, and they can have more lenience with their diet and eat things that are less healthy. And it's not as big of a piece for them. So I think it is very important. And I think you can see how important it is by looking at the vast majority of people in America and the obesity epidemic and the, chronic disease epidemic that is like so obvious right now. And that shows that it is a piece and it is a big piece. But then beyond that, I think it's individualized. And for me, it's not the only piece. It's a big piece, but not the only piece.
Okay, Lindsay, what about you?
So as you were asking the question, I was going to be like, weight has nothing, because I was associating the word diet with weight. And I think like that's a common association for people, especially in this day and age, that your diet doesn't mean like what you consume, it means what you're on to drop weight. And so I was gonna be like, I don't care anything about diet for any amount of weight loss. Can I lose 20 pounds? Absolutely. Do I care if I ever lose 20 more pounds? No. I care about whether or not my body feels like it can support my lifestyle of wanting to be actively involved in my family's lives and in my community's lives. And it's one of those things where that's immediately where my brain goes. Whenever I hear diet, I think weight loss, because so many people focus on, I'm on a diet, I'm on a diet. And I'm like, that's not what we are on. You have a diet to support your nutritional requirements as a human. And I I have family members who are able to outwork a bad diet. Like, it is absolute hot garbage diet. What they eat is hot garbage, and yet they are still able to maintain muscle mass. They're able to keep their physical fat volume on their bodies low. They're able to stay strong and sustain their entire days. But that's their metabolism, their hormonal breakdown, makeup, whatever you want to say. And it's very much so true. Like, each individual body is going to respond to the stimuli differently. So for me personally, the only thing no, that's not true. I was about to go down the path and say that for me, my diet is like the only thing that I really focus on. But the reality is not that my diet is the only thing that I focus on. Like, what I consume is not the only thing that I focus on. I also focus on the fact that we try to minimize our exposure to a variety of chemicals. I'm not like at a place where I'm overly conscientious about it, but I am conscientious of it. I'm very conscientious of dyes and preservatives and things like that, because we have people in our lives who have severe allergies to food dyes and things of that nature that are legal here stateside. And so I find like those outside environments or environmental factors are very much so like in the background of my mind at all times, because I'm like, oh, I better not have anything with these kinds of dyes in them, whether it's markers or Play-Doh or, a whole variety of things that you don't expect to cause problems for children who do have severe allergies to things like dye. And so I would say it's never there's never a 100% hard and fast rule of any one thing being it. And if it is that way, I feel like that could be pretty short-sighted. And I don't know.
I
Did I
agree.
give you enough word salad?
I love the word salad. Janet, your turn for word salad.
So I feel like diet is important. I think this also is an individual preference as well, because one thing that I am learning after 25 years of dieting, trying all the diets, is that it's like I've tapped into more of a mental aspect for me, and I'm really, really learning more about myself, and that your mental state is probably more important than your diet. And I'm going to say that because my mental state, whether it's good or bad, I can still eat off keto or be on keto, but it really plays a part in what decisions I make food wise with different emotions that may trigger food and bad foods, and for me to get off the rails. Although diet and what you're consuming is important, I feel like my own mental health is what is number one. And, that is one thing that will help you no matter what. Like I have said before, Jimmy is an addict. My dad is an alcoholic. It is their mindset. Number one, why they don't choose to take pills, why they don't choose alcohol. And, I feel like your mental well-being and to address triggers, emotions, whatever sort of feelings, that probably is number one. And it's very hard. I'm just realizing that now after, like I said, 25 years of dieting. Like, it's easy to lose weight. It really is. When you're in that momentum of losing weight, the weight isn't really an issue. It's your mental state, whether you're on that track or you're not on that track. It's easy to gain weight too. So that would be my number one, and I'm learning so much about that as of late.
Yeah, I'm in the same place. I think that diet is a huge foundational piece for many people. But for those people who are doing keto, they're doing carnivore, they're doing low carb, and nothing is happening, nothing is working, nothing is changing. I think for those people, especially, there is an underlying issue, and it could be trauma in the past. It could be trauma that they're dealing with right now. It could be diseases that they have, underlying pathogens. It could be so many things, because sometimes diet isn't enough. And I used to think, when I first got into this, when I first went keto, I thought diet was everything.
Me too.
Thought it would fix everything.
Yep.
And so now when I see those people who are like, no, you just got to dial in your diet, you'll be fine. And I'm like, oh,
yeah,
darling, welcome to the family.
Wee lamb.
Yeah.
Wee lamb. Yes.
Yeah.
Because
I've been 130 pounds before. I've been 125 pounds before, and I've lost all the weight. That getting to your goal weight and losing all that weight does not fix your mental health with food.
yeah, for some people, no, there are the ones who
Oh, for
food
sure.
does enough, and I am so jealous.
Yeah, that can just do that on a switch.
I don't
and
know
just,
that we could be friends, honestly, because I'm
Yeah.
gonna be too jealous of you. Just saying.
Yeah, exactly. I know. If you don't have a food addiction, we can't be friends.
I cannot speak to you. So, okay, since we have to wrap this up, we're going to try to make this, this is like the best question though, so we can't skip it. This got really deep this time. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start with you, Lindsay, who just went off camera.
Okay.
Oh, I have
I'm sorry.
magic.
My phone, or
That was
There we
we're
go.
weird.
losing battery.
You're not gonna get out of this one.
We're going to finish
Like,
real
Losing
fast.
battery. Hurry, go.
Right? What are you struggling with right now? If you say nothing, I will kick you off.
That is not real. How
Okay,
could you
good.
be struggling with nothing?
I think we all
think-
talked about this at the very beginning of before we started recording.
Which is why we're going to
Yeah.
recap real quick,
yeah,
because everyone needs
So-
to know you're not alone.
yeah.
I generally struggle, like, just as like a low level way of life, with 18 irons in the fire and trying to manage them all and trying to keep them rotating without completely like disintegrating any of them. And with our life right now being as it is, with, trying to get into a different house soon, trying to worry about this place, finishing up homeschool with the girls, worrying about like what we've got going on with our church family and all that stuff. It has been a whole lot of irons in the fire. And that means that I can never focus on any one thing. And I've always struggled with focus my entire life, whether I've been on the SAD diet or the keto diet or Trim Healthy Mama, or I've tried Weight Watchers in the past. Like, it doesn't matter what I have tried to do, I will always struggle with focus, just because my brain goes a million different miles in a million different directions all the time. Like, I cannot complete one thought without 17 other ones trying to come out of my face. It's a very, very real struggle for me. And I know,
We
like,
never
that's not
guessed that. Like, this is new to us.
You can't see it.
I mean, and that's why I'm always like, so like, I just constantly am moving, because there's just like so much of that mental energy happening that I just have to get it out somehow. And my mouth
Yeah.
does not connect well enough to stay focused on it's a mess. So that is always the low level struggle that I have. I mean, I feel very grateful for the life that we have. We have a roof over our head. We have 3 healthy children. My husband and I are great. I, generally speaking, have good health. There's little nuances that I'd like to dial in better, but generally speaking, we have our basic needs met and more. So right now, like, I feel anything major to struggle with would just be ungrateful. And I'm not saying, like, by comparison to, people who are, dealing with evictions or dealing with joblessness, or, like, there's so many greater struggles out there. And it's not more of like oh, well, because it's not that bad, I can't have a struggle. It's more or less like, right now, things feel pretty rock solid. And these are the low level struggles that I always have, just kind of hanging around. So.
Okay. How about you, Janet?
Well, right now, my videos have shown it's just a mental struggle right now, and just trying to recognize emotions and feelings like, I feel like I need to go to a therapist for all of this, and kind of correlating that with my food addiction. That is what I'm really trying to figure out. And it's not necessarily a struggle. I learned so much in the last 6 weeks with my big transformation with working from home and quitting my job. And that is what prompted all of this. That is really what prompted it, because at that time in my videos, I'm like, I don't know why I went off keto. I had this big life event. Maybe that's it. But I never really figured out more into it. And that's definitely my struggle right now, is just trying to correlate triggers for me. It's not necessarily food wise or circular, like the erythritol or things of that nature. This is talking about more emotional triggers and how, to prevent those and recognize those in the future, because they will always happen till the day we leave this earth. So I'm trying to really recognize that and work on myself with my food addiction and emotions and feelings.
Okay, Neely, how about you?
Yeah, so my last Wellness Wednesday video is basically my struggle right now, which is just not having motivation for anything. And so it's just a funk. And it, like Lindsay said, like, I have so many good things in my life, and my life is great. Like, I am under no illusion that there's anything wrong. Like, it's all good. But just, I don't know, we all go through these seasons of just not feeling motivated. But then my thing is, I'll feel not motivated and I'll like not want to do anything. And then I don't do anything. And then I'm angry that I'm not being productive. So it's like, it's like I can't just, put it all down and relax, because then I'm just angry that I'm not getting anything done.
Yeah. And then you feel sorry for yourself. And then it's like,
exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm just dealing with that. And I know that it'll pass. It's just one of those things. Yes, Lindsay.
How many of us believe that there is an angry side to Neely?
Oh, goodness. Maybe I should do some angry YouTube videos.
I mean, like,
I can get upset.
I deal with like anger above all other emotions, to be honest. Like that passionate, fiery anger. I don't really cry. I don't really like. I'm not that person. I'm the anger, like explode, like anger from inside out. And I just, in my mind's eye, do not see that from you.
Well, I guess that's good.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the problem. I feel like I was talking about this at the kitchen table, and I feel like even within my family and obviously with friends and stuff, that I don't have boundaries, because I'm just not an emotional person. So like I rarely, what you see is what you get. I don't get angry a lot. Therefore, I also, on the other spectrum, I don't get sad a lot or cry. Like, I always bug Jimmy in if it's a sad movie or something sad happens, I literally will like try to create tears sometimes, because I'm like, I just don't know. I don't have very many emotions. Like, even like the fiery side and angry side, like I just don't have, I feel like sometimes I just don't have any emotions. Yeah, that is
a good thing.
Yeah, you'll get constant. That is one thing exactly, Neely, is I am a constant all the time. There is no, like, my daughter could come home and say she was pregnant, and I would literally be, okay, well, we can work this out. I literally would. That's just how I've always been, though. Whereas Lindsay, holy geez.
I would be like, what is happening? I need more information. What are we doing? What's happening? What is going on?
Yeah. In me, I would just be like, okay, well, we can sort this out. Let's think about the future and steps that we're going to take, and like in a calm manner. I've always just kind of been like that.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like Neely in a sense, like, you know what I mean? As far as like being constant, I feel like it's just personality wise.
Well,
maybe.
I did a video a month or two ago about our dog passing away, and that was very emotional. And I really went through a lot at that point. It was not just because of the dog, but bye, Lindsay. It wasn't just because of the dog, although that was very, very hard, a very difficult, decision to have to make, to have our dog put down. But that dog was constantly with me through my whole season of life, having newborns, and in our old house. And when we moved out of our old house, I remember everyone, when we were just moving out saying it was so sad and that they were going to miss the old house. And I said out loud, I'm like, I'm not sad. Like, I'm
Mhm.
not. I'm
Yeah.
so excited about this new season of our life that I'm not sad. And at that point, I really wasn't. And so when Poe, our dog, died, it was like that season of life. Like
That's when
I
you
had
felt
to say
the
goodbye
most.
to that. And it was like all of that not sad that I had back then, it all came crashing down on me at once. And
At a
so,
different time, yeah.
yeah. And so I really had to work through with like letting go of that season of, having babies and all the memories of that old house where that our dog Poe was just with me through every single
Yeah, it
day
was like
with
a
all those.
representation of that whole entire phases
Yeah.
of your life.
And
Yeah.
it wasn't until he passed away that it really hit me. And I had to work through that. And I mean, it was like a good 2 weeks of like being on the verge of tears every second,
Yeah.
and so I've worked through that, but I think I'm still like there's still things there that I need to
Yeah.
let
And that
go of
just goes to
and
show,
work
like, everybody goes through different emotions, and whether you resort to food or resort to something else in your life or neglect something else in your life, if you're thinking about your dog passing, like, it's different for everybody. And that's one thing that viewers need to realize as well. Depending on what emotion and feeling that you feel, might affect you dramatically in your life, and somebody else that goes through that same scenario will react different. It's like grief,
Right, and it took
right?
me more than a year. So back then I was, balanced and I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
fine. I'm not sad. And then I did have to deal with it eventually. It didn't just go away,
Yeah.
I had to work
Yeah.
through it. So
And I feel like you never can be prepared for that. I've never lost anybody close to me. And even my own pet, like, I'm his master. We haven't lost Aries yet, but I feel like when that time comes, it'll probably be really traumatic because I've never had grief. I've never dealt with grief. And that's going to be a different emotion that I need to work through, or maybe not. Maybe it'll be one of those things, I don't know until the time comes. But I
I know
think
you
mental,
don't know until the
going
time
back to it, mental, like, really plays such a huge part on every aspect of your life, not even your diet, mental, like, that's one thing that I'm realizing. And I always considered myself, mentally strong, and going through all these things as a single parent, and going through breakups, and, my dad being an alcoholic, and all of this. I have remained, always like this, whether I push my emotions down to the bottom, I have no idea. But now that's realizing mental is a huge, huge thing. And, obviously, if you need help, you need to get help as far as professional help in those scenarios, but it's tough.
Yeah, for me, because I know that diet is so important in, my health and my mental health and everything like that. It's like when I've been dealing with this funk this last week or so, my thought is, what do I do with my diet? Like, what am I eating that's messing me up? And it's like,
Yes. Yeah, it
there's a
kind of goes
place for
hand in
that.
hand. Yeah.
There's a place for that, but I'm too quick to go that direction of thinking that diet will fix everything. And sometimes I just have to sit and be like, okay, my diet is fine.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing more really I can tweak there. I have to figure out something else. Like, it's some other lifestyle thing, or maybe it's just something I have to work through. It's like diet isn't everything, like we were talking
Yeah.
about before.
Yeah, so that's the perfect segue for my answer.
Mhm.
I'm working with Danny because I know something is wrong and I don't know what is wrong. And she was going over my blood work when we were in our meeting, and she looks straight into the camera and she goes, food's not your problem, right?
Yeah.
And I went, well, darn.
Yeah.
I was really
Well,
hoping
yeah.
you would tell me food was my
Make it a little
problem.
easier.
Yeah, it would. Oh
So
my
much
God.
easier.
Yeah,
So-
food is not the issue. That's the sad truth. That is
No.
the very sad truth.
Sometimes it's not. And for me right now, food is not my problem. Like, she looked at my stuff and she goes, yeah, I mean, there's a few things you could kind of clean up a little bit. She goes, this is not going to affect what you're saying you're having a problem with. Looking at my blood work, she was like, we need to retest for Lyme disease, we need to look at autoimmune. We need to look at all of these things. She's like, food is not your problem. There is
Yeah.
something else going on. So between that and then the extreme stress that is going on in my life right now, there's a lot. And it's so weird because even now I've been told food is not my problem. And the outside circumstances have literally nothing to do with food. And yet I am still sitting here going, how can I tweak my diet to help?
Right? Because you think that that's the problem. And if I just do this or eliminate this, then that's going to solve everything.
It's something you can control. It's like you're grasping for something to control when these things are not things that you can control.
That is exactly it.
Now I will stay low carb, almost carnivore, because my mental health is my mind is clearer. My brain can talk to itself the way that it should when it's not inflamed. I will stay this way forever and ever and ever.
Imagine dealing with the things you're dealing with and having your diet
exactly
in a bad place. That would be horrible.
Exactly. So I'm like, I will clean up my diet however Danny tells me to clean it up. I will absolutely do that, because I do know that diet is still a huge foundational piece, and I'm not going to bail on it just because it's not going to fix everything else.
Yeah.
Because even if you're 20% better on your diet, you're still 20% better. No, I'm like 92% better, and that's incredible. Now I just got to get the last little bit of everything. And
it's hard work though. That's the whole thing. It's hard work to figure that out. And that's, people just want an easy way. Tell me
a formula.
Tell me what to eat.
I do.
Tell me what to eat and tell me what to do. But it's not that simple. It's not that simple. Yeah.
No, exactly. And as you can see, we lost Lindsay because life. I mean, life happens and circumstances change and things come up, and we have to learn to adapt and finish up however we have to make it through. So thank you so much, everybody, for coming and joining us today for our very deep word salad rants.
Yeah. I think that's what we all needed, though. Honestly, I feel like so much better now. And, I feel like it's just a good way to vent, and not vent in a negative way, but to talk about things that others, for some reason, and all four of us felt, it's weird how all four of us just kind of gravitated toward the same issues this week.
Yep. So that's one reason I wanted to ask the questions that I asked, because you guys aren't alone. We're all going through it. There's a funk right now. There's a lot of stuff. So let's build one another up. We'll have our therapy sessions once a month here on the channel.
Literally. Yeah.
So thank you guys so much for hanging out with us, and we will see you on the way. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Yes, definitely B. B is better.
Yeah, I think so.
We'll see. Although now I need my coffee and my electrolytes, but they are over there.
Go get them.
Pardon me.
Good time. Yeah, go fetch.
Oh my word.
I got my coffee. And I got my electrolytes.
I'm completely out.
My kids' rooms, we're starting to let them pack up a few things, and just a variety of things that are not necessary. So I've got 2/3 of my school books for them packed away. And so things like that we're working on. But
okay. Yeah. This part's going to go into the bloopers.
The bloopers. What?
Hashtag
you found it. Okay.
Oh,
I made that?
Of my carriers with my girls too. My favorite was probably my swim one that I did. It was fantastic.
Yeah, see, I even made the drool pads that go over the
the edge.
And it's got the little hood that clips up here.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
That's really good.
I always did ones that would tie so I could adjust for however large they were.
I did that too. But then Bella was super, super ridiculous. So, and that required.
Oh my gosh. Sorry, it's my daughter. I got to text her, but then she keeps on calling me. She's like, "What are you doing, Mom? I am your life."
Recording. Thank you.
So wait a minute.
I'm up to 3 titles so far that we can choose from the titles. I'm making notes so we can figure out which one we're naming this video. Aren't you guys excited?
Wow.
I'm so excited.
Okay.